I was fairly certain about this already, but my source at the BBC has since confirmed it. That source being the official Doctor Who YouTube channel. We put out a video recently, in the last week to go before the first episodes of Disney Who start dropping, explaining a little bit about who the Doctor is for new viewers. The usual explanations of regeneration are there, bi-generation as well, which would make sense for that being in a recent episode. The Timeless Child is there as well, because, of course, but they also go on a significant tangent to talk about an evil future version of the Doctor.
What?
That, of course, being the Valeyard, a character who hasn't had a televised appearance since the 80s. Why mention him now? I am not even the first to predict that David Tennant, the 14th Doctor, will become him. And the reason this makes too much sense is that someone tweeted a few months back, and if I find the tweet I'll link it in the description, that every Russell Davies season brings back a villain from the classic series to serve as the finale antagonist. Series 1 did Daleks, Series 2 did Cybermen, Series 3 the Master, Series 4 Davros. Then in the farewell specials it was the Time Lords, and for the just gone anniversary specials it was the Celestial Toymaker. You're kind of running out of the really famous ones if you don't count ones that were already reintroduced to serve as mid-season villains, and we're long overdue for the Valeyard to show up. It's almost surprising that no one writing for the new series has done that already, what with all the mileage they've got after questioning the Doctor's morality. I mean, the concept almost seems too good not to use. An evil future version of the Doctor who, in the words of the recent video, is made up of all of his worst traits. Sorry, Doctor, their worst traits. I didn't mean to misgender you. If you know anything about Valeyard lore, you'd know that there isn't any. At least, none that conclusively establishes where he fits within the Doctor's timeline. He said himself that he cannot be averted, only delayed, implying the events in the Doctor's future, his past, don't think about it too much, that lead to his creation haven't been set in stone just yet. Of course, one problem the modern series was always going to have when they showed this on screen is if you have the current Doctor regenerate into the Valeyard, how do you then have the Doctor still be in the story with him as the villain? And I think bi-generation was intended as a workaround for that. In the video, they show this clip of the Master saying that the Valeyard will fall between the Doctor's 12th and final incarnations, which establishes that line as holding some kind of truth. And of course it would fit with why they've been referring to the reborn 10th Doctor as the 14th, since it would keep that line canon, as it were. The episode that has the 14th Doctor retire on Earth also goes out of its way to give him a Tardis, which seemed like a dumb decision, and still is, but makes a lot more sense when you realize the Valeyard has a Tardis. And it's not hard to imagine him turning evil, either because of his unresolved trauma or because he doesn't want to go. And I can't believe we've got this far without mentioning the obvious racial subtext. So, controversial opinion time. I think it was a mistake to establish that Time Lords may change race when they regenerate. Even more of a mistake to establish this as commonplace, not remarked upon when it happens. It made it seem like the number of white Doctors we've had in a row was something of an aberration, something which had no in-universe explanation and was explained out-of-universe as pure racism. The giggle recontextualizes this further by having all of the Doctor's worst traits, including his whiteness, split off from him and become a separate person. It's almost as if, as the storylines would seem to suggest, that the evil traits within the Doctor that will eventually become the Valeyard are represented externally as him being white. And when those traits are removed from him, he of course becomes a TLOC, Time Lord of Color. I won't go as far as to say a future episode will explicitly confirm this through dialogue, but it will of course be used by fans, and fans of the show who've said for years now that the Doctor was white because of racism as confirmation that they were correct all along. And I wouldn't put it past the writers and actors either to give the occasional, subtle hat tip to this idea without it seeming too obvious. And no, it's not in character for the Doctor to be portrayed this way. But it is 1000% in character for the racist, trans-affirming dipshits who write him. Remember, this is how progressives talk about whiteness. They hate you. They think they're better than you. And if they're unfortunate enough as to be born white themselves, they will use their anti-racist activism as a reason to still think they're better than you.
Go ahead and prove me wrong, RTD.
My other prediction, which I consider even more of a safe bet than the Valeyard, is that the Doctor and companions will start actively changing the past. We've already seen this happen in small ways with the running gag about mavity, which has done nothing harmful to the timeline except cause psychic damage to the viewers. And now that it's been shown to be possible, the Doctor and companions will be doing less fighting to preserve fixed points in time, and more deliberate action to change the timeline for the better. The exact reasons behind it are a whole other video, but in summary, progressives really didn't like the fixed points in time narrative that was used in episodes like Rosa. So, I've said everything that's needed to be said. Remember to love with one heart and hate with the other, and hopefully I can get this out and edited by the time the episode's air, and you can see that I was right all along!
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.